Revive me. I'm right in front of you. How do you not see me? Oh my god. Hey everybody, I'm a frog, and today we're talking about Halo 5. A few months ago, I made a video where I beat Halo 5 for the first time since beating it when it first came out and gave my thoughts on it. Basically, I thought the story was bad, but as far as actually playing it, I thought it was fine. I played it on normal though, and I got a number of comments saying stuff like, "Listen, Frog, if you played it on Legendary, you'd think it's a lot worse." So this week, I decided to play Halo 5 on Legendary and give my thoughts. Let's hop in. Halo 5 starts off fine enough with Osiris. Well, this was actually one of the tougher levels for me because one of the things you quickly realize and have to adjust to is that you basically have no health or shields. You go down quick. It reminds me of playing Halo 2, and I struggled with this at first. The trade-off is that you have squad mates that can revive you when you go down. So if you pay attention to where you're positioned and go down in an area with cover, you can rely on your teammates to just get you back up. For the most part, your squad mates are really dumb. Sometimes they take a slow path to get to you and you time out and die. Other times they'll stand so that they're in the enemy's line of fire when they could be in cover and they go down. Worst of all, sometimes there's literally no reason for them not to revive you and they just won't be able to find you even though you're directly in front of them. The other games with this mechanic that I've played allow you to move while you're down, and I don't know why they decided not to have that here. Back to Osiris, once I got used to Halo 5's flow, it wasn't too bad and I got through it in about 20 minutes. This carried over to the next level, Blue Team. Now we were fighting mostly Covenant, so I got to use the old noob combo a bit and I was feeling really confident because nothing was too tough. Then the Hunter showed up. At first I tried to dodge their melee like in the old games. That didn't work. Staying far away and running around also didn't work. Then I thought maybe they want you to flank them with the new Spartan abilities. Nope. These hunters are ridiculous. They literally don't have a weakness. They're too fast to try and run around at close range, and at long range, they're freaking marine snipers that one-hit you while you're running at full speed. I couldn't find power weapons or anything laying around, so what I eventually had to resort to was a spot that I found where I could cheese them. Not a fun encounter. The next fight, though, wasn't too bad. Just got some grunts, elites, and jackals, business as usual, and they brought back sniper jackals that can one-hit you. And to make matters worse, instead of just jumping through the window like I did, my squad is running all the way around and through a bunch of enemies so they die before they can revive me. Beautiful. The rest of Blue Team wasn't too bad. There was a Banshee section that I expected to be tough, but wasn't really in another Hunter fight, but this time you're loaded up on power weapons, so it wasn't too bad. It did end up being one of the longest levels for me though, at about 53 minutes. With the next level, Glass, there's a tank section that's pretty good, but another thing I want to talk about is an issue that dates back to Halo Reach and is also present here, which is that there are just way too many enemies in a lot of these encounters. I don't know if it's to pad out the level or what, but there are single sections that you're stuck in for several minutes at a time just trying to clear out enemies that seemingly don't stop coming, which the occasional holdout section is fine, but they really wear themselves out, especially on the Meridian levels. The worst of which is in the next level, well, the next level after the walk around and talk to people level, where there are so many crawlers and soldiers you have to clear, and it just makes no sense why they'd throw that many at you in one encounter. It probably wouldn't be that bad if your squad mates weren't useless. And later on in this level, unconfirmed, we have our first Warden Eternal fight. I knew this was coming, so I kept an incineration cannon from earlier on in the level, but the Warden has a fair amount of health and I needed more to take him out. The Warden can one-shot you in a couple ways. He has a sniper beam thing that comes out of his head, and he also has like an anti-gravity weapon that just locks onto you and chases you. There's no checkpoints through this encounter, so dying here really sucked. And your teammates are especially useless because Warden can easily take out them as well. It wasn't until after a few deaths when I noticed there was another incineration cannon hidden on a platform. After I figured that out, it wasn't too hard to beat him, obviously. You just have to avoid getting insta-killed. The next level, Evacuation, has a Warthog section, then another holdout section with way too many enemies to clear. I spent a solid 15 minutes in this area just trying to kill everything. It's like they took one of those Spartan Ops missions from Halo 4 where the whole mission is just clearing an area and dropped that into one of their Halo 5 campaign levels. One tough part was where you have to take out a few Phaetons, which are Promethean aircraft, but the issue is that every time I popped out of cover, I just got obliterated. The next level, Reunion, was pretty easy again. There is another Warden Eternal fight, but this one is in a much bigger area and there's a hidden path that leads you to a high spot, so you can get checkpoints in this fight, and you can just have your whole squad up top to revive you if you go down. So this fight, even without a free incineration cannon, was a lot easier for me. You also get to fly a Phaeton, so that's cool. Funny enough, in the next level, Swords of St. Helios, I learned that I completely missed something in my playthrough of Halo 5 for the old video. That being, there's an entire Mantis section here that before I did on foot. I don't know how I missed getting the Mantis, But yeah, prior to this playthrough, I had zero idea you were supposed to get one on this level. And it's unfortunate too, because the Mantis is one of my favorite vehicles, and this section with the Mantis is one of my favorites in the entire game, which I didn't mention in the old video because I didn't even know it was a section in the game. After finding the Arbiter, spoiler alert, we move on to enemy lines, and now let's talk about what I think is a bit of a missed opportunity. Halo 5 on Legendary doesn't really take advantage of any of the movement or Spartan abilities in Halo 5. You can access secret areas with Spartan Charge, but what was meant to be a super fast-paced Halo game pretty much just evolves into whatever every other Halo game on Legendary is, which is hanging back and shooting enemies with precision weapons. You have such little health and shields that running into stuff isn't at all a viable strategy, but also your squad mates are so dumb that if you run around and try to flank and go real quick, if you go down, they're probably not going to be able to revive you. So you're incentivized to go slow and stay where your squad can easily find you in the event you do go down. You don't want the player to just be able to tank damage on the hardest difficulty, so I don't know what 343 could have done to somehow let movement be a part of the game on Legendary outside of crazy speedrun, skip past everything stuff, but still, feels like a missed opportunity. Enemy Lines also has a Kraken fight, and the Kraken I think is a pretty cool idea. It's like the Scarab except bigger. And the game for a bit goes back to being pretty easy. The rest of Enemy Lines is easy. Battle of Sanayon, even with a Hunter fight and a Warden Eternal fight, wasn't tough at all, and Genesis starts off with a tank section that's a lot of fun again. Then Genesis decides to throw another Warden Eternal fight at you, except now there's 2 Warden Eternals, not to mention a bunch of Knights and other enemies. Again, I had to cheese this and hang back. I took out a bunch of Knights at first before I focused on one of the Warden Eternals before running back, taking out the rest of the Knights, then trying to get the other Warden Eternal. So by this point in the game, you're already tired of fighting Warden Eternals, so the decision to throw even more Warden Eternals at you is baffling. And of course, this comes to a head during the next level, the Breaking, where you have to fight 3 at once. This took me so long to get through. Just kidding, I skipped past it. There ain't no way I was gonna deal with that. I have no clue what they were thinking. Really dumb. And it's sad too because outside of that, the Breaking I actually think is a pretty good level. Although it also suffers from too many enemies being thrown in each section to pad out the length. Still though, I liked it. The last level, Guardians, has a Hunter fight early on, and I'll say the one thing I appreciate about Halo 5 is that they hide power weapons for you to find during tough fights. Except the first Hunter fight. Maybe I'm just blind, but I could not find any power weapons. Guardians also has another mana section that prior to this playthrough I thought was the only mana section in Halo 5 because I'm stupid, and it closes with a holdout section that was mostly easy until the final wave where they throw a bunch of Knights at you. I was stuck on that for a bit. So it took me a little over 7 hours to beat Halo 5 on Legendary. That's by far the slowest it's taken me of any of the games, the difference being this was my first time playing Halo 5 on Legendary, whereas the other games I've played a ton. I think there were some exaggerations with how tough of a game Halo 5 is on Legendary. It's definitely a tough Halo game, but to me it's more irritating than difficult, because for the most part it wasn't bad at all and it was easy to just plow through sections. But there's just a few too many things that add up that become annoying and spike the difficulty. There's your squad mates being stupid and worthless, hunters being freaking tanks that are lightning quick, snipers one-shotting you, Warden Eternal fights that happen over and over again. Halo 2 is always a punching bag with people saying its Legendary is unfair and annoying, and it certainly does have its unfair elements obviously, but I think Halo 5 takes the cake for being annoying because it's not really that hard and all there is that raises the difficulty is the BS. Even if you take out Jackal snipers and boss fights, Halo 2 is still a really tough game. That's just how it is. Halo 5 on the other hand, if you got rid of Warden Eternal and made your AI teammates smarter, it would be one of the easier games on Legendary. The irritating elements are what make Legendary difficult here. And it's a shame too because I actually overall liked Halo 5 on Legendary. It was fun, until I got to the first Hunter fight or one of the many Warden fights or my squad mate screwed me. It dampers what's otherwise a pretty chilled out, challenging but not unfair and fun playthrough. So yeah, there's my thoughts on Halo 5's Legendary now that I've played it. You can click the video on screen to see my thoughts on Halo 5 from a few months ago if you haven't already. Bye!